Hello and welcome once again. Now the major story. Peace and reconciliation may now be far from the crisis-ridden opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) following a fresh twist in the lingering internal battle for the soul of the party. As the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory FCT Nyesom Wike says he is withdrawing from all existing peace arrangements within the party. We have details in this report.
In a strongly worded statement released earlier today,
Arakwe, sincere apologies to bring you that video later in the course of the bulletin. Uncertainty surrounds the 99th National Executive Committee meeting of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) scheduled for Tuesday, May 27, 2025. Following announcement of its postponement by Samuel Anyanwu, the National Secretary of the party. He said the postponement was to allow room for the former Senate President, Bukola Saraki-led Reconciliation Committee, to complete its assignment. He said a new date will be announced soon. Well, and joining us to discuss issues that have to do with PDP is the Director of Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, Sam Amadi. Glad to have you join us, Dr. Sam.
Thank you for having me.
It just looks like, how did they say it? One day, one trouble. And looks like PDP continues to shoot itself in the leg. What do you make of? Is this side of the story as yet Wike's fight to finish declaration?
Well, I guess when you are terminally ill, until there is a very strong therapeutic, and so they said you have to match the illness with the quality of blood sacrifice that matches
it. PDP is terminally ill.
So it needs a stronger, blood that matches the ailment. So you match the blood.
What's an analogy, doctor?
So if you go to the herbalist, the different, it can be a cow, they say bring a dog, bring a this. So each depends on the crisis. But about sitting back and looking at it, you see, for once, okay, we have to give him credit for the ability to always try to articulate his grievance. You put out a statement that is comprehensive, putting out, say, this is why I'm not going to comply or be part of this. Oftentimes, he is ahead of his opponents in using the media to communicate clearly. But number two, that statement unearths layers of this PDP crisis. So one layer is control, individual fight over who controls the party, even post-2037. So there's one aspect of who controls this party, even after 2027. That's a level of 2027. So we can give three grievances. First, it says, you guys reneged on an agreement we had in Oyo, we had in Saraki's house here. And what are those? First, keep Samuel Anyanwu on. Second, do not hopefully have this NEC meeting until it is resolved. Thirdly, bring out all the cases you fired in the matter of River State. And then the emergency challenge by state governors that have jurisdiction to sue the federal government for a constitutional question. He says he should also discontinue all this. Basically, it's a win. And if that was agreement, again,
that is the point, because this is just Wike's side of the story.
The thing we heard and what the document we have seen, it's like that was agreement. The first question is, the PDP crisis shows three things. One is a high level of greed, a high level of lack of principle, a high level of opportunism, and cowardice. Now let me put it this way. Since 2023, Wike's game, up front, he says, I am going to work to elect President Tinubu second term. So Wike's position is not just somebody who works for a member of a different party can work for opposition government as a form of national unity. But he's not just working as a member of the cabinet. He is saying, it's my commitment to make sure that President Tinubu wins 2027 election. Basically saying, my work is to make sure PDP does not compete in 2027. That carries clear risk. Basically, he's not hiding. He says, my job is to make sure this party is not competitive, because the main thing parties exist for in Nigeria, the main job to fight for is the presidency. Is that not correct? The presidency. So he said they won. We're not going to do that. Secondly, so by so doing, the question is, why are they clearly not defining it clear? You cannot lead a party that has the pretension to take over government. And that's what's supposed to be. And you are saying, my job is to make sure our party fails. Only after 27 can we be competitive. So this quarrel is around who controls that party, play dead brain in 2027, and then in 2031, you take over and run. So he has now indicted Seyi Makinde as a direct person who is, pushing this crisis. So basically, the first thing you now know is that, okay, there's a problem here. The first is Wike versus Makinde. What's the game plan? The game plan is who controls the party after 2027 dead brain. Our brain is dead. We live out. So that's the first crisis that, apart from the 2027 crisis, Tinubu, or alleged, manipulation of APC, the real point here is that the Minister of FCT wants a PDP endowed room for 2027.
Good, because you see, I'm going to put you on pause because you have raised quite some issues that even border on who is bigger, the party or the individual. Where does we leave the party supremacy? I'll get back to that. Let's get that story of peace and reconciliation. We're talking about may now be far from the crisis reading People's Democratic Party. And we said that the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, says he's withdrawing from all existing peace arrangements. We think the party. Now let's get the details.
In a strongly worded statement released earlier today, Wike accused party stakeholders, particularly Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State and Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu, of serial betrayal and alleged a calculated disruption of reconciliation efforts. Wike says a gentleman's agreement reached at the Abuja residence of former President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, was already crudely violated even before the party's reconciliation committee, led by Saraki, could begin its work. He lamented that despite the Supreme Court's judgment affirming Samuel Anyanwu as the party's national secretary, Governor Makinde had allegedly connived with his Enugu state counterpart to organize a Southeast leaders meeting to blackmail the party with a threat to pull out of the party if the party upheld the decision of the Apex Court. Vowing to fight to the finish, the minister went further to accuse the duo of instigating a rebellion within the party's leadership, pointing to a letter issued by the Deputy National Secretary summoning a National Executive Committee meeting, an act that Wike describes as illegal and contrary to agreements already reached. He also referenced a failed Congress in Jos Plateau State on Saturday, which was allegedly aborted after INEC refused to attend due to improper documentation, another fallout of what he termed deliberate sabotage by party's insiders.
All right, she ended on deliberate sabotage by people inside the party. And I'm wondering who is sabotaging who? Wike is supposed to be a PDP party member.
Leader.
He's working for an opponent. And he's saying that he wants to fight to finish. And then you're wondering, where is party supremacy? What example is he pushing out there? Even for Nigeria as a country, for people generally, you're in a party, you're fighting against the party, you want your opponent to win. Mm-hmm. Is it not, it borders on selfishness?
Absolutely. And there are three categories of people who are responsible. First, Wike, for example. If you look at those items in the agreement, every of those agreement is for it favors him. I mean, the first agreement is your body to remain. Okay. 2, pull out every cases in rivers where you have interest. 3, remove state of emergency. All the states, PDP states should withdraw their case. All these things are about you. I blame him, also blame the leadership. Now look at the Damag, who is the chairman of the PDP. Have you ever seen him make any statement critical of government like a party leader of opposition
major
who will take over power?
Not that I
so
know.
I think they have betrayed the PDP members, the Wike, the leaders themselves, because they are selfish, all of them. They are not courageous. I mean, how can you have a political party that is the major opposition party, and the leaders of that party says, you know what, our mission is to fail election in 2027. After that, we will now fight it. What kind of nonsense? Those people should have been sacked all through. So this is the lesson. We never had it before. We've seen people, when was brought from APP to work with General Obasanjo, we've seen members of different parties brought to a coalition or unity government. They do not go and say their job is to openly, and we can give him credit, clear-minded, straightforward. In fact, he's a straightforward guy. He says his job is to make sure my party lose election. And you're still allowing that person to participate in key meetings. Basically, PDP is saying, we don't want to win election. I think it's a betrayal of PDP founders and members that this couple of leaders, Shey Makinde himself is playing, either here or there. All they're waiting for is to who controls this party for post-2027. The second issue is, how about the party members themselves? Now, look at the dispute. Each person is compromised. This is a guy who has built a party, spent his money. So if you look at him speak, he's speaking as somebody who has a patent. It's like when you develop a product, you patent it. This is my party. Because he can confidently say he controls significant members of that party who can make decisions, because he has paid for them. He has financed his party all along. And that is what you see, the sense of, this is a party I've invested in. And the membership and leadership is behaving as people who are kept people, but, who are
enslaved.
Enslaved.
So how does that speak to party
supremacy?
Yes.
That's not party again.
Party supremacy instead of strong individuals.
Well,
that strong individuals that have the war chest
to keep the party running.
To keep the party running.
It's a crisis of party function in Nigeria, not just PDP, but PDP exemplified it most. They lost in 2015. They didn't go back to rebuild their party. They ran away, including Atiku himself, who betrayed the party at the point. That's the truth, we must say it. And we can pick this party, invested in it, built it up. And when the primary comes, you want to take it back from him. So the pathology. So why we say Wike's gong-hu, say, look, I'm going to crash this party must not work against Tinubu. We may blame him, but he can't blame him because he has invested and sees this party as his party in a sense. The second people are going to say is, okay, how about the issue of Sama Anyanwu? Also blame the Supreme Court. And let's be very frank here. I don't accept the logic of the Supreme Court that hands off and say, party no. In the US jurisprudence, what we call deference to the political branch means the Supreme Court can say, we don't impose candidate, but the Supreme Court will ask the lower court, examine the facts and make a determination whether the party had decided who is the chair. You can't say it's for the party. Then you create, everybody's claiming, sometiody is claiming that it means he's...
Ojokoye is still claiming.
No,
the Southeast are still claiming. In fact, the Southeast is saying, we're going at, and then that begs the question of what the Bukola Saraki-led Reconciliation Committee is doing. Whether it is succeeding or what is this doing. And then let me just add this. Where does all this leave PDP?
Dead, comatose, strangulated. But the point is, this is going to be a mark across. And I want to pick out this Supreme Court. It happened in the Labour Party. My view is this, with all respect to the law lords. The Supreme Court rightly says the court doesn't impose leadership. But the reason why you have rules is that the court interpret those rules and say, has members spoken? You can't just hand off and say, there's a crisis. Everybody's claiming that he's the chairman. Look at Labour Party. Abuda says it's him. He says it's him. When no matter the Supreme Court, I don't know if in the US Supreme Court, they say, High Court, do an fact-finding. Find out who has the party chosen. You cannot say it's for the party and leave it like that. So I think there's a failure of jurisprudence here, in my sense. You defer to party because the court does not impose credit, but the court interprets, just like presidency, it's voters who vote, is that not correct?
Yeah.
The court doesn't vote, but the court will say, have the voters voted validly? Has INEC, that's why the court determines that somebody is selected or not. So I think that the Supreme Court has also created a curveball that confuses everybody. But the real crisis here is, this PDP episode illustrates how much our political system has collapsed. We are not just individuals have taken over the party, but these individuals are so muscular in pushing very illogical interests. How can people push an interest that they don't want their party to be active against their opponent in the election? You're leader of the party, and you say, you know what, I'm going to fight to make sure that Tinubu wins. At the same time, you want to still the whole idea is simply, PDP should be in a boardroom. After 2027, we take it from the boardroom. I take it back. So this fight is between him and Makinde. Who takes PDP after the dead ball of 2027?
We'll leave it there. And then the danger of what you have said, muscle people taking over the party instead of the party being itself. Thank you so much, Dr. Amadi, the director of Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, for sharing with us your thoughts on this PDP crisis.